Hello everyone, Namaste everyone. This is Mythili, your zoology faculty from Infinity Learn by Sri Chaitanya. So here we are with the super duper series, the Chak series. We are going to present a lesson in a day in 2-hour session. Right? So this is for you, those who want to crack NEET, all these NEET aspirants, get up, put on your seat belts. Here we are every single day presenting one complete chapter just for you NEET aspirants out there. Yesterday you've seen the announcement by Aman Verma sir, Vibhati ma'am, Kiran Chaudhary ma'am, and of course there's me and Suchita Mukhopadhyay ma'am. So all of us are going to make sure that we complete your syllabus. Now today it's the zoology, right? Every Tuesday 12 o'clock get up for your zoology sessions by me, Mythili Aburi, right? So here we are from Infinity Learn. Do like, share and subscribe our videos on YouTube. You can go onto our website and register yourselves for the various test series that we have put out there. This Doubts app for those of you who wants to register just for the clearance of your doubts, right? There are also courses where you can register, whether you are in class 11 or class 12 or class 13, which is the repeater course or the long-term course. So we have plethora of courses available there. There are live sessions, there are just the test series. You can take our score tests, by the way, which is the super duper very large scholarship test that's going on as of now in the entire country, right? So these are all the things that we've got to offer on our website. So do visit our website infinitylearn.com, right? So here I am presenting zoology sessions, which will be every Tuesday, right? I'm going to give you the syllabus, the curriculum that we are going to cover in the month of Jan. Also at the end of this particular lecture, I'm going to give you the entire schedule as well. So gear up yourselves. Every Tuesday it will be at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock is the time every Tuesday. That's when I'm going to present my zoology sessions. Of course, we have throughout the week, Monday through Friday, there are botany lectures, there are physics as well as chemistry lectures also on each particular day. Here we launch the Chak Day series with the zoology session today, right? So do remember to log on to our website and do like, share, subscribe our videos on YouTube channel, right? Now, the important thing is all this is for free. We are offering this Chak Day series entirely for free. You can just log on and listen to these lectures and it's just going to help you crack your NEET examinations, right? So this is something which is a big scale, something that we are going to offer you just for free. When you go onto our website, that's when you will have to register for the courses, the tests and all. These YouTube videos that you're seeing at present is totally for free. So do log on and make the best use of it. So what is our particular lesson that we are going to deal with today? It will be the human reproduction. Look at that beautiful human baby that's just born, right? This is absolutely such a miraculous human body, and learning all about it is something that's amazingly beautiful. So human reproduction is something that we are going to start with today, right? So when you look at the weightage, right? So when you're looking at the weightage, why, if you are asking by the human reproduction, you know, why this particular chapter today? So here's my answer for you. So there is NEET questions that have been asked from human reproduction chapter every single year on an average. See, that's really high number of questions, right? From a single chapter, there are 3 questions that are appearing from this particular chapter on an average. Even in the year 2021, there was this question that was asked, the sperm receptors on a particular ovum are present on, right? So they're very important chapter, if at all not in the point of view of NEET also, otherwise it's very important for us to have a knowledge of our own body, and it is absolutely amazingly miraculously a process that is occurring when we talk about the parturition, the delivery of the baby, which is also covered in this particular lesson. Or else also it's the menstrual cycle, which one has to have a knowledge of, that of the females. Let me also put forth with that note that menstrual cycle is something that's a very important topic within human reproduction, from which a lot of questions have appeared. Not just menstrual cycle, but there are also questions that have appeared many a times with regard to the pregnancy and the embryonic development, right? The sequence also as far as spermatogenesis is concerned. So we're going to talk all about it as we progress through the lesson, right? So here I've taken your NCERT extract, right? This is one super duper good way for us to cover the entire chapter in the next 2 hours, right? So I'm going to give you the extract exactly from your NCERT text. So what you need to have before we start with this particular session, right? Have a notebook with you, have your pen, and then also have your NCERT text, also have a highlighter. So these are some things that you need to have in order for us to go ahead with this particular session. It's very important that you keep these tools with you, and as we progress, just keep making note of it. Biology is all about loving your concept, learning your concept, understanding your concept. So these are the most important things which can be done. Just make a note of as we go through this particular lesson. And of course, there are several links in the description box in the YouTube channel if you go to, which leads you to the website to register for various courses. I will remind you that again at the end of the session as well. So human reproduction, what have we got in the very first paragraph of the NCERT text? It's beautifully giving the gist of the entire chapter. It's basically telling us what you are in store for this particular chapter as far as this chapter is concerned. What are you going to learn? So there is this process, gametogenesis, and then we have the insemination, and then it is the fertilization, right? And then it's the implantation, the gestation, and of course there is the parturition, right? Here we go, mark it out. So these are the things that we are looking at, right? We are highlighting these words in the very first paragraph. The definitions are quite important as far as your board is concerned, and of course there can be MCQs that can be made based on these definitions. Quite a simple MCQ if you are seeing it in the NEET examination. All you have to worry about is 2 similar sounding words, which is implantation and insemination. But once you understand what each of these is, you don't have to worry about it at all. So let's look at what each of these have got to say. Gametogenesis. I keep saying this all the time as far as bio is concerned. Break up the word or understand the origin of the word and the definition, right? So what does gametogenesis say? It's a gametes, which all about, right? So gametes are the sperm as far as males are concerned, ova as far as females are concerned. These are the gametes, right? The genesis, what is genesis talking about? It's the formation. So formation of gametes is what is called as gametogenesis. As simple as that, right? Very clear. Gametogenesis is the process of the formation of the gametes. Now, once after the formation of gametes happens, what is supposed to be done next? Insemination. Both the gametes have to come together, right? So both the gametes have to come together, and how does it occur? In the process of insemination. Insemination, it is going into the female genital tract, right? The sperm, being motile, is the one that is introduced into the female genital tract. What is being introduced? Semen, right? So the semen is what is being introduced into the female genital tract. And what is this particular process called? It's called the insemination, right? So once after insemination happens, what next? Both the ovum as well as sperm are undergoing the fusion. And what is that called? Fertilization. The fusion of the sperm and ovum is what is referred to as the fertilization. Ova, by the way, is the plural, ovum is the singular. So it's the fusion of ovum and spermatozoa, which is what is referred to as the fertilization. So once after fertilization happens, what next? This is zygote that is formed. The zygote is something that is implanted. Where is it implanted? It is implanted in the uterus of the female, in the endometrium of the female. So that attachment of what? The zygote in the wall of the uterus, what is it referred to as? The implantation. Planting itself, like it's just like a seed sowing itself in the mother earth. Similar kind of a thing. That is what you talk about in botany when it comes to the living beings, the animals. In zoology, we're talking about a zygote implanting itself in the uterus when it comes to the humans especially. So what is it called? Implantation. So once it attaches itself to the wall, to the endometrium, what happens next? There is the development of the zygote, which is called as gestation. What is the gestation? It is the development of zygote that is taking place, which is what is referred to as the gestation. Now this is 266 days when it comes to the humans. It's about 266 days. It's divided into the 3 trimesters. What's a trimester? Trimester is basically constituting 3 months. So it's a 9-month pregnancy which is divided into 3 trimesters, right? So this 9-month time period where the zygote is undergoing the development, what is it called? The gestation. Where is it longest? In the elephants, right? The huge animals carry the baby for such a long time period, about 2 years, where it is giving birth to the baby elephant, right? Such a huge, majestic animal. You look at it, longest gestation time period. In the humans, it's about 9 months to 66 days, right? So once after the baby is fully grown, what happens next? It is ejected out of the mother, right? So that is what is referred to as parturition. It's basically, we are talking about the parting of the fetus or the ejection of the fetus. We're talking about the ejection of the fetus from the mother. That is what is called as parturition. So this is what we are going to learn, kiddos, as far as this human reproduction chapter is concerned. The entire chapter, the gist is very, very beautifully given in the very first paragraph itself. Now, if I have to put this in an organized manner for you, this is what it is, right? The entire gist of what is provided in the first paragraph is this gametogenesis, which is then leading to the insemination, right? And then it goes on to the fertilization, and then it implants itself. It undergoes what is called as implantation, and then there is the embryonic development, which is called the gestation, and finally it's the ejection of the fetus, the delivery of the baby, which is called the parturition. Now these are the definitions. Whenever and wherever you are asked, you should be able to tell just like that, right? Quite simple definitions, easy to remember. We're going to start with gametogenesis, formation of gametes. Once gametes are formed, क्या होगा उसके बाद? Gametes that are formed are undergoing, they have to come together. Now which is the motile one? The sperm. Ovum is not motile, so the sperm has to come to the ovum. So it's the semen that is deposited into the female genital tract. And what is that process called? Insemination. Insemination के बाद क्या होगा? Once after insemination has happened, this fusion of the gametes that is taking place. What's this fusion called? It's the fertilization. Once after fertilization has happened, the zygote is formed. Zygote is implanting itself in the uterine wall, which is the implantation. The implantation ke baad, the zygote is undergoing development, which is the gestation. Once it is fully developed, right, it is ejected out of the mother. Parturition. In the normal colloquial language that we are talking, it's the delivery of a nice beautiful package that we are talking about here, which is the baby, right? So first up, after the initial gist of what we are going to learn, the bird's eye view in this particular chapter, we get into the male reproductive system. So what in the male reproductive system, let me brief the entire thing. In the male reproductive system, there's external genitalia, testes, accessory ducts, and the accessory glands. These are the four components, you could say, of the male reproductive system, right? It has the male external genitalia like the scrotum, the penis. We're going to learn what scrotum is, what's a penis, and there's of course a pair of testes. You can look in the diagram, there are a pair of testes. There are accessory ducts, which are basically nothing but tubes that carry the sperm, a network of tubes that are arranged so that they can carry the sperm. These are what are referred to as the accessory ducts. Accessory ducts are the ones which are the carrying the sperm, right? Abigail is one who has just joined. Welcome to the class. Then we have the accessory glands, which are helping with certain secretions, which are helping the sperm not just, during the maturation of it in the male, but later point of time till it fertilizes the ovum in the female reproductive system as well. So those are the accessory glands. There are a pair of seminal vesicles, there are a pair of bulbourethral glands, and there is a singular prostate gland. The single prostate gland. There's a question asked about that as well. Which of them will be unpaired? It is the prostate gland which is not paired. It's a singular structure, right? So, where is the testis situated? Very, 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 very important. It is something which is outside of the abdomen. It's basically extra-abdominal, right? The human testis is something which is extra-abdominal, outside of the abdomen. It is situated in a sac-like or a bag-like, what is it called? Scrotum. It is situated in a bag-like scrotum. This descent is something that's happening when the male baby is inside of the mother's womb. Then at that point of time itself, there's a descent that is happening at about 7th month of the fetus is when the testes, which are formed initially in the abdomen, they are descending. They're coming down to settle in these bag-like or pouch-like scrotum. Now, why is this happening? Why is this event so very important that I am emphasizing this particular thing to you? Because the human body has a temperature which is a little higher. Scrotum, on the other hand, has 2 to 2.5 degrees centigrade lower. It's 2 to 2.5 lower. Now, why is this very necessary? This is absolutely indispensable for the process of spermatogenesis. That is the formation of the sperm. For the formation of sperm, it's very, very important that the temperature be a little lower, right? A little lower temperature is very, very important, which is 2 to 2.5 lower when it comes to this bag-like or a pouch-like scrotum. So, very, 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 very important. चलो जल्दी जल्दी हाईलाइट कीजिए, नोट कर दीजिए कि बोर्ड्स के लिए इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इट्स अ 2 mark CBSE board examination, several times asked question at the NEET level also in various forms. This can be framed into a question. It is extra-abdominal in humans. Of course, the spermatogenesis still takes place, although it is in abdomen, in certain other animals like whales, elephants. It's abdominal testis and still they function absolutely normal. But what happens when it is in the humans? It's remaining in the abdomen. It's what is leading to a condition called cryptorchidism. It's a cryptorchidism condition that it is leading to, which leads to sterility. The sperm is not produced. It leads to what is called as the sterility. What is the condition called? It's called the cryptorchidism. So, it's very, very important that the testis, a pair of testes, remember that they descend, go down into a pouch-like or a bag-like, what is it called? The scrotum, right? Why scrotum? It maintains a lower temperature, right? Now we talk about the testis. It's oval in shape. It's about 4 to 5 centimeter in length, 2 to 3 centimeter in width. Do you really have to bother about these dimensions? No. So far in the NEET examination, never was there a question as far as dimensions are concerned. So this is something that you will have to be cool and relax about. Not to worry, not to ये रटना नहीं पड़ेगा, या like you don't have to literally mug it up. You don't have to. The dimensions are some things that are provided only for your understanding. Understanding ke liye they have given this particular numbers just to understand, okay, this is how large. You're not yet into the medicine. Once you are a medico, you get to cut open the human body, actually look at those organs inside, right? How exciting would it be as a medico? But as of now, at the 11th and 12th level, you don't do that. You don't have those kind of practicals, right? So you need to have an understanding how a particular organ looks like. So that is why the dimensions are provided. No need absolutely that you mug these things. Those are the dimensions, and then we talk about the testis is covered by a dense covering. See, this is all about NCERT. It's cryptic. If at all they start describing everything, right, your NCERT text becomes 10 times bigger. We don't want that, right? Right now itself, you think that the NCERT text is big enough that you have huge amount of syllabus to study. Not to worry at all. It's all about loving your subject and understanding it, right? So we'll help you with that. So what is this dense covering called? It's the tunica albuginea. It's the dense outer covering. Tunica, nothing but a covering or a test. Anywhere you come across tunica, understand that it is something which is an outer covering or a test, right? So each testis has about 250 compartments which are called the testicular lobules. I have another diagram to help you understand this. Right now understand there are a pair of testes. The outer covering is what is called as tunica albuginea. Right? So this is the diagram that I am talking about, so that you learn all about the testis in a nice, beautiful manner. So what is the outer covering called? By now you know it is in an outer covering which is called the scrotum. What is this inside the tight outer dense covering that we just talked about? I told you already, it's the tunica albuginea, right? But you also see this purple colored one, right? Nice and purple colored structure, if you are asking, worried about what it is, it's the tunica vaginalis. It's a fluid filled structure, okay? It's filled with fluid so that it is providing the testis enough liberty to move a little bit, okay? It's preventing the friction, it's allowing the movement of the testis. So there's a nice covering outwards, which is a fluid filled one, coelomic fluid one, which is what is referred to as the tunica vaginalis. So this tunica albuginea is going inside, look at that sky blue colored one, and dividing the entire testis into how many compartments? 200 to 250. What are these called? Testicular lobules. Say it with me. That's how you understand and remember. 200 to 250 testicular lobules. So each of these lobules again have 2 to 3 highly coiled structure. Look at this, very highly coiled structures. What are these called? Seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules is where the sperm is formed. So where is the process of spermatogenesis occurring? It is occurring in these tubules called the seminiferous tubules. Within these seminiferous tubules is where the sperm are being formed, right? So the sperm that are formed are going to these small tubular structures. What are they called? Tubuli recti. Not provided in the NCERT, so not to worry much about it. And then it gets into these network. What is this particular network called? It's what is called as rete testis. This is what is called as the rete testis. So from rete testis, where does it go? It is going to vasa efferentia. Vasa efferentia, and these tubules are leading to again a very tightly coiled structure. What is it called? The epididymis. It's what is leading to epididymis. This epididymis, look at that structure. It's a long structure that you tightly coiled one, you see. So this is what is called as the caput epididymis, the head part of it. What is it called? Caput epididymis. Remember, something like a captain, right? The head, caput epididymis. And then there is this corpus epididymis, the body. It is from corpus is nothing but the body. And finally, there is this tail-like structure which is giving it away to the vas deferens. And what is this tail? Cauda. Cauda means tail, right? Epididymis. And this tail-like structure is what is leading to the vas deferens. Here we go. We have also covered another beautiful topic, which is the sperm pathway. Sperm pathway is also something that we have covered, or alternately I can also say accessory ducts, which are actually helping with the sperm transport, is also something that we have covered in this particular beautiful diagram, right? So the testis, a pair of them. Inside they are divided into compartments, testicular lobules. Each compartment will have again 2 to 3 seminiferous tubules, and that's where the spermatogenesis is taking place. And then it goes through a network of tubular structures, and these are what are called as accessory ducts, right? So the seminiferous tubules is something that we talked about. Now let's get inside of these seminiferous tubules. That's when we are going to talk about these cells, the male germ cells, the Sertoli cells, the interstitial cells. So these are all the cells that we are going to talk about, right? Look at this, another beautiful picture that's giving us an inside view of the seminiferous tubule. Right, within the seminiferous tubules is where we are going to look at the cells. So here's Teja. Welcome to the class, Teja. It's a pleasure to teach you all. Okay, and for starting this series, we are glad that we are of help to you, Teja. It's really a pleasure to teach. Now, which other profession can give you so much of satisfaction, right? Which other profession is all about giving? And the beautiful thing about this particular series is that you can watch all these lessons from the top lecturers from all the subjects, physics, chemistry, and biology, whether it's botany and zoology, on YouTube for a day, one complete important chapter. Beginning, I did tell you human reproduction is a very important chapter. Average 3 questions are appearing in the NEET examinations, within which subtopics are important. That is also something that we are providing you with a beautiful analysis, right? Make the best use of it. And पिक से समझ में नहीं आता तो if we are giving you the explanation also beta, we are doing it from the NCERT text as well. If you this is the NCERT diagram, exactly from there I've given, and I've also gotten it drawn for you, right, in order for you to understand this better. This is exactly the NCERT diagram, so that is why you have a difficulty. I've put it so that you understand this diagram. Of course, definitely will be much visible, right? This picture, from this I will make you understand the inner part, right? This is the seminiferous tubules. I have blown up this for you so that you understand this, right? Inside there are these large cells. What are these cells called? The Sertoli cells. What are the Sertoli cells called? They are referred to as the nurse cells. So nurse cells are, why are they called so? They are helping with the nourishment of the sperm. They are some things which are helping with the nourishment of the sperm, right? And inside there are also other set of cells which are the spermatogonium or the male germ cells. Very important for your NEET level, board level, everywhere. What are the 2 types of cells that you find within the seminiferous tubules? One is the male germ cells or the spermatogonium, and 2 nurse cells or the Sertoli cells. They are helping with the nourishment of the sperm. They are acting like little, literally eating away the degenerated sperm, right? These are also the cells which are secreting inhibin. This is not there in the NCERT, but question posed in 2016 NEET examination, the inhibin, right? Right, the vivacious, you have replied that it is a diploid one. Exactly beta, very good. It's exciting when you answer these questions even before they are posed. Very good, exactly. They are actually diploid. We still are not talking about how they would have undergone the mitotic, meiotic divisions, right? Very good. So there are these male germ cells and the nurse cells that are present within the seminiferous tubules. Now outside, also in the interstitial space, we have certain cells. What are these called? The Leydig cells. These are called the Leydig cells, or they are also called the interstitial cells. Just because they are in the interstitial space, they are what are referred to as the interstitial cells or the Leydig cells. And what do these do? They also have a very important function to do. The Leydig cells are what are responsible for the secretion of androgens. Androgens, importantly testosterone, right? Testosterone or androgens are the hormones that are secreted as far as the Leydig cell function is concerned, right? So this testosterone is again helping with which process? The spermatogenesis process. It is helping with the process of the spermatogenesis. So here you can see as the spermatogonium have undergone division, mitotic divisions, they have formed primary spermatocyte which have undergone the meiotic 1 division to form a haploid secondary spermatocyte which have further undergone meiosis 2, which is an equational division. So the haploid remains, which is a large spermatid. The spermatid is something that's embedding itself in the Sertoli cell. Look at that head that is embedded in the Sertoli cell, right? It is drawing the nourishment from the Sertoli cell. Ankita says androgens, exactly beta, very, very good. Androgens are the hormones that are secreted by the Leydig cells, right? So this spermatid is something that is undergoing a morphological differentiation. It's not undergoing any change with terms of the ploidy is concerned. Now this is a large motile structure which is becoming a very slender motile, which is the spermatozoa, right? It is a larger one, not so very motile, which is becoming a slender motile spermatozoa. So this is the spermatogenesis process that also can be learnt from this particular diagram. So all I've put here for you to have an understanding as far as NCERT is concerned is within the seminiferous tubules you have the spermatogonia, which are differentiating into spermatozoa, and of course the Sertoli cells. On the other hand, outside of the seminiferous tubule in the interstitial space are the interstitial cells, are what are called as the Leydig cells. And what do they secrete? They are secreting the androgens, right? So next we talk about the male accessory ducts. This is something that I have covered already, where the sperm is undergoing the transport. So which are all the structures? Rete testis, vasa efferentia, epididymis, and the vas deferens. This vas deferens is something that is looping over the urinary bladder, right? Which is looping over the urinary bladder, and it is receiving a duct from the seminal vesicle, right? Seminal vesicle is something that the duct is coming from, let me look at spermatid to spermatozoa, which is the matured sperm. It's called the Spermiogenesis. When we say the matured sperm, it's basically the spermatozoa, right? Vivacious, I hope I've answered this question for you. Mature is something that we are talking about, spermatozoa. When spermatid is something that's morphologically differentiating, right? Only in terms of its morphological features, the external features, it is forming spermatid to spermatozoa. What is that particular process called? Spermiogenesis. On the other hand, when the sperm is released, whether it is from the head of the Sertoli cell, from the seminiferous tubule, what is that process called? Spermiation. A previously asked NEET question, difference between the spermiogenesis, spermiation. About 2019, I guess there's a question that's asked, difference between the spermiogenesis and spermiation. So it's very, very important whenever there are similar rhyming terms that you understand the meaning. Let me have a sip of water. This is also something that I forgot to tell you. Along with your notebook and pen, it's important that you stay hydrated. Have a bottle of water also with you, right? As biology students, we should know more, that we understand it's very, very important to stay hydrated, right? Let's go ahead with the lesson. So yeah, Vivacious, I hope it's clear to you. Thank you, beta. So it's good that it's of help to you. And these ducts are the ones that we are talking about. The duct, sorry, we come back there. It receives a duct from the seminiferous vesicle and opens into urethra. Understand this sentence very, very clearly, right? So there is a duct that's coming from the seminal vesicle, right? This is the duct of the seminal vesicle, and there is this vas deferens also that's coming. Together, what do they form? Ejaculatory duct. It's not very clearly given in your NCERT text, but it's important that you understand this. Ejaculatory duct is formed by the union of a duct that's coming from the seminiferous tubule and the vas deferens. Put together, it is what is called as the ejaculatory duct, right? Ejaculatory duct is formed in that particular manner, right? So this is something that's not so clear from the lines, but you need to read between the lines. That is all about NCERT. It's a little cryptic. It has several layers beneath it. We help you understand that part, right? So this ejaculatory duct further is something that is opening through the urethra, right? Through the urethral meatus opening. Now understand, in the males, it's both urine as well as sperm is carried by the urethra, right? It's just that during the copulation, when semen is being ejaculated, there's no urine that's being transported at the same point of time. But yes, it's the same tubular structure that carries both urine as well as the semen, right? A common one when it comes to males. On the other hand, in females, there's a vaginal orifice and there is a urethra, which are two distinct things, right? So here again, this beautiful diagram make you understand the sperm pathway and the ducts. Seminiferous tubules is where what are formed? Sperm is formed. From there it goes to tubuli recti, not given in the NCERT, not to worry. Rete, testis, then vasa efferentia, epididymis and vas deferens. These are the accessory ducts. The sequence is given in 2016 paper, the sequence of the accessory ducts, or sometimes they may give you two ducts and ask you to identify what is in between, or the sperm is passing from one structure to another through, right? So these are all the questions that are based on the sequence of the duct. So it's very, very important you understand what is referred to as the sperm pathway or the accessory ducts, right? So the glands are what we are going to talk about. I'll come to external genitalia later. So what are the accessory glands? They are helping with pouring out certain secretions. These are giving away certain secretions in order to be for the sperm to be able to mature, also go and fertilize the ovum in the female reproductive system. So what are these glands? The seminal vesicles, there are a pair of them, right? And there are the bulbourethral glands, which are also a pair. Unpaired one is the prostate gland. This is the unpaired structure. So these give away secretions which are helping in various ways. This is what we are going to talk about now. The secretions of the bulbourethral glands help in the lubrication of penis. Quite simple and easy to understand and can be a NEET question. Lubrication of penis is by the secretions of bulbourethral glands, right? Let's look at these glands. Again, from the NCERT text, but I've got it redrawn just in case you don't understand those diagrams. So you look at these leaf-like structures here, right? These are the seminal vesicles, and here's a little heart-like structure which is the prostate gland, and there are very small pea-sized bulbourethral glands. There are two of these and one of that. So these are the ones which are providing with certain secretions, right? Also called Cowper. Yes, dear Ankita, you're right. Bulbourethral glands also referred to as the Cowper's glands, right? So these are the glands, and you look at this particular diagram, you understand the functions of all it. The fluid secreted by seminal vesicles is about 60% of it. It is providing with fructose for ATP production of the sperm. It's giving you, recall your NCERT statement, fructose, certain enzymes, calcium, all these are present in the semen, right? Where is that fructose coming from? These seminal vesicles, these are the ones which are providing with the fructose. Very, very important practically also, right? Prostate gland function, yes, vivacious prostate gland is something that is helping with providing the alkaline environment. Remember, urethra is something which is passing both urine as well as sperm. For the sperm to be alive and pass and go and fertilize the ovum, it's important an alkaline environment is provided, right? And it also gives away a lot of enzymes also, the prostate gland, right? Amazing, amazing, miraculous human body that it keeps the sperm inactive as far as it in males and it makes it active when it enters into the female, right? There are also certain anticoagulants, something that are present in these secretions, right? Once it comes out, it is something that is undergoing coagulation after the ejaculation, and once it enters into the female, again it is liquefied. So lots and lots of function, lots of deeper layers which you will understand more and more when you become a medical student. You can come back and tell me then that point of time there's more involved actually, ma'am, right? So hope I've answered that question, vivacious, that it is providing with an alkaline medium, it is providing with enzymes, and of course the antibacterial activity also. It is giving away something like a lysozyme, if you observe, recall from your digestion chapter, something which is providing with the antibacterial activity, that is also done, right? Prostaglandins secreted by seminal vesicles contribute to sperm motility in the female reproductive system, right? It's making sure it's going to its target organ. So the prostate glands makes up about 25%. This is contributing the sperm motility and viability as well. It's contributing to the motility of it as well. Bulbourethral glands also help in the lubrication of the penis. I told you, straight NCERT line, quite important, right? So these are the functions of the accessory glands. Now look at the internal structure of the penis. Beautiful, beautiful diagram. You understand there are these columns of tissues, right? The dorsal one, which are referred to as corpora cavernosa. Wherever you see corpus, it's a body. Here we are referring to two bodies. Corpora will be a plural. Corpus is singular, right? Corpora cavernosa, and then there is a corpus spongiosum. Corpus spongiosum. This is through which urethra is passing, right? This is the urethra which is carrying both the sperm as well as urine. It's passing through the spongy tissue which is called the corpus spongiosum, and these are two cylindrical columnar corpora cavernosa. What is the function of the spongy tissue? It's the erectile tissue. The blood rushes into these structures during a sexual pleasure, any kind of libido or the thoughts of it, the feeling, or during the copulation, right? The blood rushes into these erectile tissues, into these spaces, right? Making it a erect structure. The penis becomes erect, and that's when the ejaculation going to take place. The sperm is ejaculated, right? So that is the penis, which composes the external genitalia in the males. External genitalia is nothing but the genital organs seen from the external side, right? External genitalia, external genetic organs. Penis is the one that you see in the males, and this is helping with the deposition of sperm in the females, right? And we did talk about the accessory glands. So the end of the penis is an enlarged structure which is called the glans penis. Again, a simple statement, important one, the enlarged end of the penis, right? If you look at the structure of the penis, right, there is an enlarged end which is what is referred to as the glans penis. It's covered by a loose fold of skin which is called the prepuce or the foreskin. Even easy to remember and understand as far as NCERT is concerned. The loose fold of skin is what is referred to as the what? It's what is called as prepuce or the foreskin. Now we come to the female reproductive system. Female reproductive system, also we are talking about the primary sex organs. There it is testis, here it is ovary. The accessory ducts, there it's a little more complicated. In here in females we are talking about a pair of oviducts. Of course, we are going to talk about different regions of the oviducts right here. And there are accessory glands, not mentioned in the NCERT text again, but the accessory glands include the greater vestibular glands, which function just like the bulbourethral glands in the males, which is helping with the lubrication process, and lesser vestibular glands, or also referred to as the paraurethral glands, right? So these are the accessory glands that you see, and of course there are mammary glands, important in your animal kingdom chapter, also unique feature of mammals, right? All these is the epithelium, the epithelial structure. Whether it is in the testes or in the ovaries, it is the cuboidal epithelium. In the ovaries, it is for a long time period called germinal epithelium also, because they thought it is what is giving rise to the ovum. Later now it is referred to as just the surface epithelium after the research and all, right? And fallopian tubes of course has ciliated epithelium, which is helping with the transport of the ovum as well. Epididymis, you see it is a non-ciliated pseudo-stratified epithelium. There it's not helping much with the movement, right? Yes, we are going to come up with the structural organization chapter also, where we discuss the tissues even more in depth. Hope that answers vivacious as far as this human reproduction is concerned, right? So look at that beautiful diagram again. So we are talking about the uterus, the uterine layers also, the pear-shaped structure, right? The inverted pear-shaped structure, which is called the womb or the metra or the hystera. Why is it important? Hysterectomy, a question that was previously asked. Ectomy, always surgical removal. When uterus is removed, it's what is called as hysterectomy. Hystera is also the name of the womb or the metra or the hystera, right? It has got three layers. The innermost layer is the endometrium within. Middle layer, myometrium, muscular layer, and the external perimetrium. So the uterus has three regions, the dome-shaped fundus, and of course this is the body, and the narrow region of the uterus is called cervix. So this cervix leads to an opening which is referred to as the external os. Through this external os, it's leading to the vagina. So this vagina and the cervical canal are what are responsible for the delivery of the baby. Of course, menstrual bleeding also comes through this, through the vaginal orifice. So both these put together, what is it called? Birth canal, given in your NCERT text. Very, very important. Cervical canal plus vagina, what is it called? The birth canal. I promised to discuss different regions of oviducts. Let's go ahead with that. The infundibulum is the funnel-like structure, right? It has finger-like projections. What are they called? Fimbriae. These fimbriae are the ones which are helping with the collection of the ova. No direct connection there, just like the males. Males, it's a tubular structure, continually carrying the sperm outside. Here what happens, the ovary is releasing the ova into the coelom. So closely covered are these finger-like structures, the fimbria, and there's a little opening called ostia. So these fimbriae are making sure the ovum gets into only the oviduct and not anywhere else, right? And through this ostia, it's getting into this little area called the ampulla. First, funnel-like infundibulum, ampulla, and a very narrow isthmus, and then into the uterus. Of course, in ampulla is where the fertilization is taking place. Zygote is what is traveling back to deposit itself in this fundic region, right? So birth canal is the answer given by Vivacious. Very, very good, beta. You're quite active. Very nice to see some of these active, interactive child, right, children, of course. So the female reproductive system is what we are talking about. We talked about the oviducts a bit. There is uterus as well. So coming back to ovaries, primary sex organs which are helping with the production of the ovum. Look at it again, dimensions are given just like before I told you. Dimensions are not some things that you need to mug up, right? You don't have to literally mug them up. It's only given for you, your understanding, imagination. When I say 2 to 4 centimeters, you look at your scale that you use, you know how big or small it is, right? Just for that sake, understand this is about 2 to 4 centimeters in length. It's connected to pelvic wall and uterus by the ligaments. It's covered by a thin epithelium. Vivacious was just asking this question. What is that epithelium that is surrounding around the ovary? It's a cuboidal epithelium, for a long time called germinal epithelium. Now we know it's the surface epithelium. And then ovary also has 2 regions to it. Let me show you in one of the structures. Okay, that's in the oogenesis. That's where I will show you that, right? So the ovaries are some things which are helping with not just the production of ovum, but hormones also, just like testis. Testis is helping with the production of androgens, right? Here also the ovary is helping with the production of course, the follicles within estrogen, progesterone. All these are the hormones that are secreted by the ovary during the pregnancy, even relaxin along with the placenta, right? So this is how the female reproductive structure looks like when it's straight, a sectional view that is given in your NCERT as well, right? And then we move on to the oviduct structure. Is something that we just saw, I explained. It starts with the finger-like fimbriae, a funnel-like infundibulum, a little region, ampulla and isthmus. Many questions can be posed based on this. Finger-like projections that are present in the infundibulum, fimbriae, which help in the collection of ova, fimbriae, which is the funnel-shaped region of the fallopian tube, infundibulum. Which part of fallopian tube fertilization is taking place? Ampulla, narrow region which attaches to the uterus, isthmus, right? So, and the kind of epithelium, the ciliated epithelium, which is helping with movement of ovum as well as the zygote, right? Zygote itself is not motile, it has to be pushed through. The ciliated epithelium does the function, right? And we also know the different regions of the uterus, the fundus, body and the cervix, right? Cervical canal plus vagina, it's the birth canal, right? And then we move on to the uterus. These layers also we discussed. What is the outermost layer called? Perimetrium. Again here several questions can be asked. Which is the glandular layer? Endometrium. Which is the muscular layer? Myometrium. Which is the one that undergoes contractions during the delivery of the baby? Again, myometrium. Outermost layer, perimetrium. Middle layer, myometrium. Innermost layer, endometrium. Where is the implantation taking place of the zygote? Endometrium. So several questions again based on the layers of the uterine wall also that are some things which are concerned with when it comes to the layers are concerned. So female external genitalia. To explain this part, I have a beautiful diagram for you too, because this is something that is provided without a diagram as far as your NCERT is concerned, right? So female external genitalia, there is a fatty cushion of tissue which is covered by the pubic hair, right? It is something that's covered by pubic hair. This way the question also can be asked. It's nothing but the mons pubis. It's the fatty cushion tissue that's covered by the pubic hair. It's what is called as mons pubis, right? And a finger-like structure. Beware of this particular term, finger, right? There are several ways this question can be asked. Finger-like projections of the infundibulum will be fimbriae. Finger-like projections later when we talk about of the trophoblast, that will be chorionic villi. Here the finger-like projection, which is at the unison of these labia structure, that will be the clitoris. It is also something which is homologous to penis. What do we mean by homologous? Recall from your evolution chapter, something which is similar in the origin, structure, not necessarily in its function, right? So the homologous to penis, it's providing with certain sexual pleasure. Of course, there it is helping with the ejaculation of the sperm, right? But both are of similar origin. The clitoris is something which is a finger-like projection, right? And there are two vulva or lip-like structures, which are the outer labia majora, the larger ones, and the inner labia minora. And what are these lip-like structures trying to enclose? This particular area called vestibulum, right? It is something that is enclosing an area called the vestibulum, and this vestibulum is something which has the vaginal orifice through which the menstrual bleeding comes out, and of course this is where the 3-day bleeding is something that is occurring. So that is external genitalia for you, a lot of questions that may be asked from that. And a little question that's posed in the NCERT itself. The vaginal orifice is partially covered by a membrane. What is it called? It's called the hymen membrane. It's called the hymen membrane. And this membrane is something that, based on which question is posed, is it something that is proving virginity in a female? Not at all. It can be broken, not necessarily only during the first sexual intercourse, but it is something that can be broken while cycling, or a minor jolt or an exercise or just a fall or a horseback riding, anything can break this particular membrane, or it may not break at all even during the sexual intercourse. So not necessary a little bit of bleeding occurs during the first sexual intercourse, only then the female is considered a virgin. So this is a myth that has to be broken by you generation out there. So go out and educate more rural people as well, that this is not something that is true at all. Based on this, virginity is not something that can be decided of a female, right? So this is something that a myth that has to be broken as far as the hymen membrane is concerned. NEET is concerned. What is that membrane that partially covers or the opening of vaginal orifice? That would be the hymen membrane, right? And then we move on to the mammary glands. A pair of mammary glands, right? N number of hormones that are involved in the development, right? So mammary glands are some things which you see that they start growing, especially during the puberty. The hormones that are involved is the estrogen, right? That is what is concerned, helping with the growth of the mammary glands. And during pregnancy, they become a little larger. There are alveoli that are formed, not to be mistaken with the alveolar cells in the lungs. Here the milk secreting cells are also called alveoli. So what is the hormone that's helping during the pregnancy? It is the progesterone, right? And thereafter, the milk is something that is produced inside in the alveoli due to another hormone called prolactin. And finally, its release is something that is stimulated by oxytocin. So several hormones that are involved, as we see, in terms of the development of the breast are concerned. So here the important thing that you remember is the milk pathway. Just like the sperm pathway before, it's important for you to understand how the alveoli, look at this bunch of grape-like structures. What are these? These are the alveoli. They secrete milk, right, into the mammary ducts. The mammary ducts pour it into ampulla. The ampulla to the lactiferous ducts. And finally, these small pores, are present in the nipple through which the milk oozes out. What is this dark pigmented region around the nipple? It's what is called as the areola. The breast is supported by these pectoralis muscles and the ribs, of course, right? The ribs and the pectoralis muscles are helping with the support. Within the mammary gland, there's lot of fatty glandular tissue. It has got a lot of fatty glandular tissues, right? Oxytocin, all the functions related to this. We are going to talk about the prolactin, oxytocin. Yes, beta, as and when we move through the lecture, but for you, let me tell you, oxytocin is something that's not just helping with the milk release, but for the parturition as well. So this is something that is fetal ejection hormone as well as milk ejection hormone. It's helping with, once the baby is pushed out, it is also stimulating, it's still there in high concentrations in the woman even after the delivery of the baby, which is stimulating now the mammary glands in order to let down, milk let down hormone, right, the oxytocin. Prolactin is something that is helping with the milk production. Within the alveoli, the milk has to be produced, and it is the prolactin hormone that is helping with it. And of course, if at all you have an assertion reasoning question that it's present or not, it's present in the males as well, but absolutely not concerned with the mammary glands. You see, if at all mammary glands are present in the males, it is an a Klinefelter syndrome or something like a gynecomastia, right? So that's about the prolactin and oxytocin as far as our this areola, right, is the pigmented region, beta, around the nipple. That's what is called as the area. There's a little darker zone or a region around the nipple, which is what is referred to as the areola. Ankita says oxytocin. Yes, oxytocin is something that is helping both with the milk ejection as well as the fetal ejection. Nice, Ankita. So, milk pathway is the take home point from this particular slide. Understand, within alveoli the milk is produced. From there it goes to the mammary tubules, to ducts, and then ampulla to lactiferous ducts. Each mammary gland is divided into 15 to 20 mammary lobes in which there are these alveoli, right? So that's the structure from your NCERT text straight, right? So now we talk about the gametogenesis. We already know gametogenesis is the formation of the gametes. Gametegenesis, formation of gametes, right? So gametogenesis, if at all we are talking about the sperm formation, we are talking about spermatogenesis, right? If at all we are talking about formation of ovum, it is the oogenesis. Oogenesis and spermatogenesis is what we are going to talk about. First up is the spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis is something that is of something that's beginning only during puberty, only after males hit puberty. That's when the spermatogenesis is starting. Is there an end to it? No, there is no end to spermatogenesis process. It only starts during puberty and it continues. And of course, the sperm quality or quantity may decrease as men are aging, as they become older and older, right? So there is significant clinical term that's used nowadays for over the middle-aged men, just like the menopause. It's called the andropause also they may undergo. But technically speaking, there's no end to spermatogenesis, except its quality or quantity may deteriorate as men are aging, right? So at puberty, what is happening? It's the GnRH that is secreted from the hypothalamus, gonadotropin releasing hormone. It is stimulating the release of what? The FSH and the LH hormones. Follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone. The follicle stimulating hormone is something that is acting on the Sertoli cells. What are Sertoli cells again? Just now we discussed, they are the nourishing cells which give away factors for the spermiogenesis. LH on the other hand is acting on the Leydig cells. What are Leydig cells? They are the interstitial cells. Of course, the names may sound fancy for you. It's just the last names of the scientists that are given to them. The Sertoli cells and the Leydig cells, right? So these Leydig cells in turn are helping with the release of androgens. The Sertoli cells give away factors for the process of spermiogenesis, and together what are they helping with? The process of spermatogenesis. So this is the hormonal control that is involved as far as the process of the spermatogenesis is taking place, right? So this is one structure that we have discussed previously also and talks all about how the spermatogenesis is taking place. So these spermatogonium, they are initially undergoing a lot of mitotic divisions to form the diploid, right, primary spermatocyte. Now this is something that is undergoing a meiotic division, meiosis 1, which is a reductional division. And so what happens to ploidy? It becomes haploid, secondary spermatocyte. It becomes a haploid one. And this in turn is undergoing the meiosis 2, which is again an equational division, just like the mitosis. So the ploidy doesn't change, it remains haploid. And now you know how the spermatid is something which is undergoing a morphological differentiation, change in the external features. A large one is becoming a slender spermatozoa, which is also haploid, right? Thus the spermatozoa is formed. You can see that it is embedded in the Sertoli cell, right? And that release is what is called as spermiation. What is the release called? Spermiation. And what is this morphological differentiation called? It is called the spermiogenesis. Spermiogenesis, right? The spermatid to spermatozoa is called spermiogenesis, and the release is what is called as the spermiation, right? Yes, Vivacious is already talking about the sex determination also. We'll come to that beta. Thoda bahut intezar kijiye, right? So this is something that I already mentioned in this particular slide, how the spermatogenesis process is initiated during the puberty. Now that testosterone is what is responsible for you to develop those secondary sexual characteristics, whether it is that facial hair, that hoarseness in your voice, right? It is something that's acting upon your larynx also, thickening them, which is why the voice changes from a high pitch voice to low pitch. On the other hand, females retain that high pitch because they also have androgens, but in very, very low concentration, right? So all those changes that you are observing in yourselves during the adolescence is thanks to these androgens, right? A little bit of that aggressiveness is also something that is associated again with the androgens. So don't blame on that when your mom scolds you later point of time, why did you do this? It's my hormonal kick, right? So I know you're all good children, but just saying. So here's the sperm structure. Very, 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 very important as far as our NEET is concerned, right? So the sperm structure, it consists of the head, neck, right, middle piece and the tail. These are the important zones: head, neck, middle piece and the tail. 1, 2, 3 and 4, the 4 regions of the sperm. So head, what does it contain? Of course, the nucleus, which is carrying that genetic material that already Vivacious has mentioned, right? And then there is a cap-like structure, very, 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 very important. This cap-like structure, what is it called? Acrosome. Why is it so important? It carries enzymes called sperm lysines. Sperm lysins are the enzymes. Why do we need sperm lysins? It has to go and break open those layers of the ovum so that it can fertilize the ovum, right? The ovum as we later point of discuss oogenesis, you will understand there are several different layers around it. The pure sperm has to break through all these layers, go inside and fertilize the ovum. And what are those enzymes that are responsible for breaking up these? That would be the sperm lysins. There is hyaluronidase, there is zona lysine, there is corona penetrating enzyme, right? Again, I am not talking about the virus there. It is all about corona is something like a outside on the radiating, like that crown, right? So wherever we have this particular formation or the word we use, that corona, right? It's something that we already nowadays very used term, right? Wherever you see the corona is word that is used, it's nothing but like a crown like formation. You have seen it all before in the text. Now you pay special attention because there's corona in it, right? So acrosome has sperm lysines which are helping with penetration of sperm into ovum. Where is this cap-like structure present? In the head structure. Coming to the neck, it has this centriole which gives rise to this axial filament, right? Another centriole which is giving rise to axial filament, another centriole which is helping later point of time during fertilization in order to form those spindle fibers, right? Middle piece has n number of these spirally wound what? Mitochondria. This mitochondria is what is providing the energy for swimming. It gives that much needed ATP for the swimming. So what is it called? Powerhouse. What is it referred to as? The powerhouse of the sperm. So Ankita says Nimberkin sheath. Exactly, beta, that you know a lot more, that is right. This old terminology, it was even asked in very old test papers also. Nowadays we don't talk about those much, it's a part of the old syllabus, right? So this tail which is basically helping with the motility. It is something that is helping with the motility, right? So the head region consists of the nucleus which carries genetic material, cap-like acrosome which carries the sperm lysins. The middle piece consists of mitochondria which is providing with energy. The tail is something that is helping with the motility. You know the ovum is something which is non-motile structure. The poor ovum cannot move. It's the sperm that has to go and meet the ovum, right? So here is provided all about the sperm structure. And let's look at how many in the ejaculate. 200 to 300 million sperm during coitus, and of which 60% sperms must have normal shape and at least 40% should show vigorous motility. 60% is something that should have a proper shape and at least 40% proper motility for what? In order for the fertilization to take place. For the fertilization to take place, this percentage is very important. Later in the infertility, you will learn about these, oligospermia, very less sperm that's present in the ejaculate. Then there is this azoospermia, right? Asthenospermia, where the sperm movement is something that's not proper. The teratospermia, the shape of the sperm is something that's not proper. All these are certain reasons why there is infertility in males. We will come up with a reproductive health chapter next Tuesday. So stay tuned, where we talk about the infertility reasons and how they can get help also, just in case they want to have a baby although infertile, right? We'll discuss all about it in arts in reproductive health chapter next Tuesday, again 12. So stay tuned. We are not yet done with the human reproduction. I'm just talking about it since we are discussing the infertility factors, right? Then you have a phone that is hanging. That should be something that you need to solve, beta, right? We don't have any problem from our end. It's absolutely clear. There are a lot other students who are watching absolutely without any problem. right? So definitely from our end there's no problem, but if your phone is hanging, then you should check it out beta. Maybe just get help from any of the family members or check out your phone, right? From our end there is no problem as far as streaming is concerned. Vivacious says it's crystal clear. That is the agenda. That is what we want to make it clear from Infinity Learn platform, that we help as many as people as possible, right? It's important. And just why don't you people also have a break? You need to keep yourselves hydrated, and I myself as well. Nice Infinity Learn bottle. See, we have our logo on that as well. Log on to Infinity Learn. So we have 60% of the sperm which have normal shape, and at least 40% that show a very vigorous movement, and that's quite important for the fertilization to take place. We will discuss the infertility reasons as well later point of time. So the sperms that are released are transported through the accessory with the secretions of epididymis, vas deferens, seminal vesicles, and what does it form? Semen. So it's important that these are simple words, okay, but somebody asks for a difference, suddenly you worry about, what is this actually? So the sperm, right, plus the seminal plasma put together is what is called as semen, right? So semen is something which is sperm plus the seminal plasma. What is seminal plasma? All these secretions that are coming from the seminal vesicles, that are coming from the prostate gland, that are coming from the bulbourethral glands, about 70% from seminal vesicle, 30ish when it comes to the prostate gland, very little contribution from the bulbourethral gland. So all these secretions that contain, as I told, fructose, we missed a little bit a point there. That is something, even in rape cases where the people are looking for in the female genital tract, because female body itself doesn't produce fructose at all. In the males also, it's only the seminal vesicles that are producing the fructose. So that's confirming a sexual intercourse in the female. Whether or not it's forced, in the rape cases, that's a different investigation altogether. But fructose is something that's produced only by the seminal vesicles in the males. So this is one point you may talk about with your, or share with your friends. There's something interesting that I have learned today, right? So the sperm along with seminal plasma is what is referred to as the semen, right? So the process of formation of the female gamete is what is called as oogenesis. Next up we are talking about the oogenesis. So far it is the spermatogenesis. You know that it is starting from puberty and no end at all, just that the quantity might decrease in the old age, right? And the spermatogenesis, what are the hormones that are involved? GnRH from hypothalamus, FSH and LH from the pituitary, and stimulating the testes to secrete androgens, right? Of course, there is inhibin also that's secreted both in males as well as females, which is the negative feedback mechanism. We will discuss about it even in more detail when you can register for the course, right? So the oogenesis is what we are discussing. It is something that is starting as of embryo. In the embryonic developmental stage itself, oogenesis is starting. That means it's inside the mother's womb, and it is always, it is already, producing the ovum. Ova are produced, the oogenesis process. I'm very sorry, the ova are not yet produced. The oogenesis process is something that's starting within the fetus when it is inside the mother's womb. That point itself, the oogenesis is going to start. When is it starting? In the males, gametogenesis, only during puberty. Here, even before the baby is born, the ovaries start the process of oogenesis, right? And is there an end to it? Yes. And what is that end referred to as? Menopause. That's when the oogenesis process is going to completely cease or stop. Is there an end in males? No. Compare and contrast. That's when you're going to learn all about it. Stops at 50 age. Ankita, you are right again, beta. Bingo, you're getting all the answers right. Hope you crack that NEET also. Just check there, okay? Right. Then the embryonic developmental stage itself, there are a couple of million gametes of the mother cells which are called oogonia. But are these millions of gametes present at the puberty also, the follicles? No, by puberty it's only about 60,000 to 80,000 follicles. What is happening? It's called the follicular atresia. What is it called? It's called the follicular atresia. Degeneration of the follicles. Follicles are undergoing degeneration, right? These millions of follicles come to certain thousands, of which also about 400-ish, 450 or so of ova are finally produced during the reproductive period. That is from menarche, first period, to menopause, which is where it is ending, right? So during this point of time, monthly one ovum is being released. That's why all copulations do not lead to pregnancy. If at all you are asked that question, every time sexual intercourse is happening, is it leading to pregnancy? No. The female body has to be ready with its ovum only during that point of time. If sexual intercourse is done, that's when it can lead to pregnancy. Also remember, very short span of this particular ovum. Even after ovulation, hardly 24 to 48 hours. Its fertility is highest in the first 24 hours, especially where it's waiting for the sperm to come and fertilize it. That's the reason why, again, all copulations do not lead to pregnancy, right? So these millions of follicles are leading to only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles by puberty. And what is that process called? Follicular atresia. Atresia, nothing but degeneration. Follicles are undergoing the degeneration. After 33 to 34 is growth reduced in female. Good question, Vivacious. What happens after 30s, right? Fertility is definitely something that is decreasing. It's not in terms of that whether ovum is not produced or so, ovum is definitely produced, but the chances of certain genetic disorders is something that's going to increase. If at all you have learned in your principles of inheritance, you recall that particular chapter, we're going to talk about this particular chromosomal disorder, Down syndrome, right? So this is something that is occurring, Down syndrome, due to an extra copy of 21st chromosome, right? The ovum that is being produced, it is something that is not properly formed, right? There are formational errors that are taking place. So those kind of errors are something that is increasing with increased age of the females. That is why if you observe on a general, I'm not saying that everybody who would have a child after 30, the child is suffering from the Down syndrome, not at all that way. But statistically, if you observe, most of these Down's children, right, those who are suffering from the Down syndrome, they would be babies who are born a later time point, right, where the chances for this particular disorder to occur is increasing with the age. So the fertility time period, even if you observe in the, in your own NCERT text manner, if I have to talk about the sexually transmitted infections, is something that is quite high in younger people. The fertility rate is something that's quite high till 30-ish or so, and later point of time definitely it is something that is decreasing. Again, many women, because of the career and all, they hope to have after 30s nowadays with the children. But nowadays we have lots of diagnostic tests to be done, prenatal ones, to ensure that the baby is not suffering from any ailment before the birth itself. But yeah, overall you could say that after 35 or so, the fertility rate is definitely decreasing, beta. Hope I have answered your question, right? So, When it comes to the female oogenesis, it's not as a straight pathway, you could say, like the spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis you talked about in a very unidirectional pathway, straight one and a continuous one, that the spermatogonia forms primary spermatocyte, which in turn forms secondary spermatocyte, spermatid and spermatozoa, right? It's a quite simple straight pathway. Here it is something that is a stop and start kind of a mechanism. Before birth, it's arrested at prophase 1, right? At puberty also it is arrested at metaphase, and after the sperm entry, finally the ootid is formed, which is fertilized by the sperm, right? So there is a stoppage mechanism. Apart from it, you also understand that this folliculogenesis that is taking place. Apart from oogenesis, folliculogenesis, the layers around the ovum is also something that we need to discuss. That's something that's not provided again in the NCERT in a very detailed manner, which is why these diagrams are going to help you with it. So first we are talking about primary follicle. These are what the female babies are born with, right? There's a primary oocyte and there are a layer of granulosa cells around it. And then it turns into the secondary follicle. Of course, the secondary follicle transformation is something that's only starting at the puberty. From birth till the puberty time point, what female has is a primary follicle with a primary oocyte, which is arrested at prophase 1, right? So this is what a female baby is born with. At puberty, what is the differentiation that is taking place? There are more layers of granulosa cells. There's primary oocyte still. There are more and more of granulosa cells that are formed, and there is a layer that is formed around it. So look at the dark purple line around, which is what is called as theca. It is what is called as the theca. So it's chapter समझ नहीं आएगा diagram से, right? In the NCERT, what would have been given is the primary oocyte gets surrounded by granulosa cells, primary follicle, just a simple statement, for which I have given this particular diagram. So you understand this is primary follicle, there's a layer of granulosa cells, and you look at the difference, right? There are more granulosa cell layers and there's a theca that is formed. Then we move on to tertiary follicle. This is a straight NCERT statement. It is characterized by fluid filled cavity, which is what is called as antrum. Antrum is the fluid filled cavity that is present. And what happened to theca? It formed theca externa and the theca interna. In fact, theca interna is the more vascular structure that is helping with the formation of the estrogen hormone, right? And forms the Graafian follicle. In the Graafian follicle, more changes have occurred. There is around the oocyte formed what is called as the zona pellucida. It has formed what is called as zona pellucida. The layer, this is the question appeared in 2020, which is receptive of the sperm on the ovum. It is the zona pellucida. It's a non-cellular glycoproteinaceous layer which is making sure of two things. One, preventing polyspermy. It allows only one sperm to go and fertilize it. Two, it doesn't allow attachment anywhere else other than the uterus. What happens if it is attached in the fallopian tube itself, say for example? It leads to ectopic pregnancy, right? So this cannot lead to the growth of the child. It most of the time undergoes the abortion, right? So this is making sure of blocking polyspermy. One, it is also making sure that the site of implantation is only in the uterus, right? So the cumulus oophorus is the neck-like cells which are the granulosa cells, right? And these granulosa cells are also forming a crown-like structure around which is called the corona radiata, It's what is called as corona radiata. So that's a nice structure of the Graafian follicle. Right? This is something that we have discussed. Antrum is very, very important. Remember, it is a fluid filled structure that's present in the tertiary follicle. So when we look at the oogenesis part, so far in the ovary, this is the cortical region and this is the medulla region. Together, what is it called? Stroma. Anywhere, peripheral region is what is referred to as the cortical region. In depth, the deeper regions are what is called as medulla. And both put together, this area within ovary is ovarian stroma, where you can see the follicular development. Now here comes the oogenesis part, which makes sense to you now. I have tried to put the diagram also together so you understand what is happening with oogonia. So they are undergoing mitotic divisions. Remember, this is happening even before the female baby is born. And it forms the primary oocyte, which is also starting the meiotic division. But is it complete? No, it's arrested at the prophase 1. And during puberty, what happens? Just the same as in the males. GnRH from hypothalamus, FSH and LH also come into the picture from the pituitary gland. These are what are stimulating this division to be complete. It forms what is called the secondary oocyte, which also starts meiosis 2, by the way. But is it complete? No, it is arrested at metaphase 2, right? And when is this completely complete? Only after the sperm enters into ovum. Otherwise, what we are talking about, ovulation, ovum is released. Which stage is it in? It's a secondary oocyte, right? Which is arrested at metaphase. Only after the sperm entry, it's going to complete it. What happens if there's no fertilization? It just degenerates. In case fertilization happens, it is going to go further division to form a large ootid, right? Otherwise, it is something that is going to be degraded. Along with it, you also observe there's a unequal division. Did we observe this again with spermatogenesis? No, it's a straight division where the spermatid is something that is forming the spermatozoa. No unequal division there. One primary spermatocyte, two secondary spermatocytes, 4 spermatids, 4 spermatozoa. 1:4 ratios. Very quite and clear equal division. Here it's an unequal division. You see a polar body, small one that is formed, a chutkusa one. Why is it formed? Because the sperm doesn't carry much of a cytoplasm with it. The ovum needs nourishment when it is fertilized and the zygote is formed, because of which it's very, very important it undergo unequal division. So the cytoplasm is retained with ovum, right? That is one other thing you need to understand. Right, corona radiata, last line I missed beta where I don't know. So I'll just go ahead. You can post it later point of time also. We can clear in the doubts app as well. Right. So the oogonia are undergoing the follicles, follicular atresia, you understand. Mitotic division is something that is happening inside when in mother's womb itself. There are primary oocytes that are formed, meiotic division also that starts, but arrested at prophase 1. These are the ones which during the puberty undergo a division to form a secondary, second polar body and an ovum. Remember, it is again arrested at metaphase, only complete after the sperm entry. And here is a comparison one. You can see nice how it is a primary spermatocyte, a single one, give rise to 2 secondary spermatocyte, 4 spermatid and 4 spermatozoum. Here on the other hand, a single ovum is produced, only a single. Many follicles try and develop, they try to undergo maturation, but one dominant follicle is going to release that ovum, right? Menstrual cycle, very, 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 very important as far as your NEET is concerned, right? LH surge, you can understand from the NCERT text. LH peaks, so ovum is released. What happened in your 2020 paper? Ovulation is released, and they say options you will not find. Although there is LH, they said low concentration of LH. So estrogen was the answer in 2020 paper. Again, 19 also they asked, why is that follicles are not developing during menstruation? FSH and LH are not there. So not given in the NCERT, but subtle touch reading between lines you need to understand with menstrual cycle in order to answer those. 2016 there was a question about pulse frequency of GnRH is controlled by. Again, not given in NCERT, but you can understand estrogen, progesterone are controlling that, right? Metaphase second, please, the line second. Metaphase is where it is arrested vivacious. It's basically it's arrested at metaphase. Here the ovum, but it is complete. A large ooted is formed only after the sperm entry. In NCERT text they have interchanged this word and they used that ovum. Actually after the sperm entry only this particular ooted is formed, which is ready for fertilization. What we say ovum here is something that is, if at all not fertilized, it undergoes degeneration. If it is fertilized, due to the sperm entry, it forms this ooted, undergoes fusion with the sperm, right? Hope that's clear, right? So when we say menstrual cycle, first period, what is it called? Menarche, by now we know. Ends at menopause. Ankita gave her answer also previously, 50 years age, ma'am, Ankita, right? So when we say endometrium, the innermost glandular layer, remember when it is sloughed off and shed, do you think that entire endometrium? No. It has what is called as stratum basalis and stratum functionalis. It is this particular layer that is sloughed off and shed, not the basalis. So when we say endometrium from the NCERT text, don't understand it as entire endometrium is sloughed off and shed. It's just the stratum functionalis layer of the endometrium, right? So here we have those nice spiral arteries also which are constricted, basically oxygen deprived, and that's why this layer is ruptured and broken and sloughed off during menstruation. Only for that I got this diagram. So menstrual cycle, again we understand that, you know, it's the changes that are taking place. But remember, this ovary also that is undergoing changes, uterus also that is undergoing changes. So it's a combination. Reproductive cycle is an ovarian cycle as well as uterine cycle. In uterus, what is happening? Endometrium is shed off in menstrual phase. It's rebuilt again in the proliferative phase. It becomes more glandular and secretory in the secretory phase. What happens in the ovaries simultaneously? Follicles are undergoing growth in the follicular phase. Ovulation is happening, release of ovum, and luteal phase, corpus luteum is formed. Also, role of hormones, very, very important. What is causing the follicular phase? FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. Hormone itself tells you follicle growth is being helped. Ovulatory phase, LH, peak, surge of LH, sudden raise in LH causing the ovulation. The luteal phase, which is the hormone that comes into the picture, progesterone, corpus luteum, corpus body, luteum yellowish, temporary endocrine gland, which hormone is secreted in high levels by progesterone. So where is estrogen in here? As follicles are growing, they also secrete a lot of estrogen as well. Even corpus luteum secretes estrogen. If at all, in general, they give question as corpus luteum secretes. If option is estrogen, actually that is also an answer. But highly secreted, then progesterone will be your answer. So that is again your straight NCERT diagram. So menstruation, it is lasting for 3 to 5 days. What is happening? Endometrium layer is being shed off, and if at all the ovum is something that is fertilized, then endometrium is not shed. Progesterone continues to be released, which is why it's called the pregnancy hormone. So menstruation itself, which is the hormone that is causing it? Previously asked NEET question, fall in progesterone. Fall in progesterone is what is causing the menstruation. Why is that there are no new follicles developed? Again asked question. During menstruation, low FSH and LH. Of course, slowly they start to raise, but initially they are not there. And then absence of menstruation, always talking about pregnancy, no, poor health, stress. For example, I know you children are undergoing a lot of stress and pressure for the NEET, then also this postponement might occur. Not to worry, no pressure at all. Learn everything passionately, then there is no stress or pressure at all. It may be a little thing on a particular day. Yes, we also have that mood swings. We don't want to study on a particular day. Study very little also, but study it perfectly, right? Don't have any stress or pressure. That's when learning is happy, learning is fun, right? So after that, again, new follicles start to develop. Follicular phase, FSH from the pituitary gland is making sure as follicles are growing, they're also secreting estrogen. And these grown follicles, they form a mature Graafian follicle. LH is hitting it to cause the ovulation. Ovulation is something that is caused due to LH. And this remains of the Graafian follicle. What does it form? Corpus luteum, which is secreting the progesterone hormone, right? So at 50 years of age is when menopause is caused. Menstrual hygiene, very, very important box provided in your recent edition. It's important that hygiene is maintained. You, of course, educated children know, but spread the knowledge. When you go to the rural areas, it's important you educate people with menstrual hygiene. Beautiful diagram to explain the ovulation. High levels of estrogen from a mature follicle is something that's causing the release of GnH, RH and LH. This LH that is secreted from anterior pituitary gland is peaking, causing LH surge, and that's what is causing release of ovum. What stage is it in when we say ovum stage? Secondary oocyte with an arrested metaphase, right? Amar Singh says, hi beta, very good to see you. Capacitation, again, not given in the NCERT text, but is an asked NEET question, right? 2017, they have asked about capacitation. Where does it occur? In the female, right? Once after the ejaculation, insemination happened, it gets into the female. There is removal of cholesterol bodies, glycoproteins and proteins, and so far it moved in what is called as an undulating motion. You study in your physics about these. Now it started moving like whiplash movement. This calcium entry that has taken place inside into it, and it starts moving faster, right? And once it is hitting the ovum, which is the layer which has receptors for its zona pellucida, 2021 question, right? And this is what is preventing the polyspermy. It doesn't allow any more sperm to enter once it enters. How? This is the beautiful diagram that it explains. Once the sperm is something that is entering into ovum, there is these little cortical granules which release their secretions and makes the zona pellucida a fertile membrane, not allowing any other sperm to enter into it. We call it a slow block and a fast block that is being caused by various reactions, the acrosomal reactions. Remember, what does acrosome have? Sperm lysins, which make sure it enters into the ovum. They come into the picture here. So once after the sperm enters into it, that's when the ooted and second polar body are formed. No fertilization, secondary oocyte degenerates as such, right? And when the fusion happens, what is it called? The fertilization. This fertilization is something that is leading to the formation of zygote. Here comes what Vivacious has mentioned it before. I will put it up, summarize here. It's meiosis, basically. A little spelling mistake, apologies for that. So if at all, the sperm is something that can carry only either X or Y chromosome, unlike ovum, which is always carrying the X chromosome. So who's determining the sex of the baby here? It's the males. One more myth broken and is supposed to be shared by you people with as many people as possible, right? So it's the male who's determining the sex. If it 50% of the sperm is carrying X chromosome, 50% Y chromosome, based on which sperm is fertilizing the ovum. If at all it is X, that's fertilizing, it leads to the female baby. If at all it's Y, it's leading to the male baby, right? Sex determiner will be the male. So once after fertilization happen, it starts to undergo cleavage. Why are we calling these mitotic divisions as cleavage? Here the cell size is something that remains the same. In fact, it is decreasing to accommodate more number of cells, unlike the mitotic divisions. So look at that particular size remains the same from the zygote till the morula, till the blastocyst, because although cells are dividing, they are accommodating in that small space within zona pellucida. It's going to break only during implantation. So 2 cell stage, 4 cell stage, and 8 to 16 we call it morula, looking like a bunch of grapes, and it is differentiating. Very, very, very important. Blastocyst, outer layer is called trophoblast, inner group of cells is called ICM, which is in fact forming the embryo, and trophoblast is something that is forming the placenta. Very, very, very important. At this stage is where it is undergoing implantation. Implantation is occurring at what stage? At the blastocyst stage, when this trophoblast is forming finger-like, the projections called chorionic villi. Chorionic villi literally interdigitate with the maternal tissue, the endometrium, so that the placental structure is formed, right? That is what is mentioned in this. Look at another beautiful diagram, how it is forming. The trophoblast is differentiating into cytotrophoblast and syncytotrophoblast. They develop these finger-like villi, right, which interdigitate with the maternal tissue. Uterus also by this time is secreting some nourishment, uterine milk, in order for the zygote to embed itself, right? So once after this structural functional unit, the placenta is formed due to interdigitation. It helps a lot with whether the gas exchange, excretory waste removal, nourishment, or secreting hormones like HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, estrogens, progesterone. But if at all you are asked question, only during pregnancy, HCG, HPL, relaxin, these are found only during pregnancy. Estrogen, progesterone, remember from the menstrual cycle, they are found during other points of time also, not necessarily only during pregnancy. So only during pregnancy, what's your answer? HCG, HPL, and relaxin. HCG is something that is found as soon as chorionic villi are formed. They themselves secreted that they are found in the urine of the conceived women. That is what is tested in those home pregnancy test kits, the Gametes test, right? So this is the HCG hormone, this human placental lactogen, relaxin. These are the hormones that are found only during the pregnancy, right? So these other hormones are also increased several folds in the maternal blood. The pregnancy physiology itself is a branch of science, which the changes that are taking place, right? Ankita says 6th day of fertilization, right around a week beta from the time point zygote is formed and implantation is taking place. Yet it's the slowest movement that is found in the animal kingdom. If you look at panorama of different animals, the cleavage that is happening and implantation that is taking place, it's kind of slowest in the human beings. Such a complicated, intelligent being, it has to form, right? So then we are talking about the several different layers, the ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm. What are these? These are the primary germ layers that are formed from the ICM. It has got the stem cells, inner cell mass, which is differentiating into primary germ layers, which in turn are forming all these beautiful organs of the human body, right? Like, for example, reproductive system that we are talking about is mesodermal in origin. Nervous system, ectodermal in origin. Muscles, mesodermal again in origin. Digestive system, lungs, endodermal in origin, right? So all this essence I've summed up in this particular table. Very, 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 very important. Match the following question. Recently, there are lots and lots of match the following questions that are being asked. If you look at past 2 and 3 years of papers, this can be one. 4 weeks, first sign, vital sign, heart is formed, right? It can be confusingly asked for you in terms of weeks or months or trimesters. Any which ways you should be able to answer, right? First vital sign, heart is formed, then limbs and digits form, and then major organ systems are formed by the end of the 3rd month. By 5th movement, the mother feels the baby moving inside, a beautiful feeling, right? Where she experiences the baby starts to move inside the mother's womb, and a hair is also formed on the head. Do not get confused between appearance of hair on the head and all over the body. Lanugo is the term that we use. Fine hair that's formed all over. Just look at the newborn baby. You will see that fine hair that's present all over the body. Later, of course, it's shed off. Especially the way Indian moms give the bath to the child, the hair has to come off, right? And eyelids separate, eyelashes form, and at the 9th month, a fetus is fully formed, right? The mother is now preparing herself for the parturition. The baby has to be ejected. It's the fetal hormones, maternal hormones. There's a nice interplay that's taking place in between in order for the ejection to take place. But as far as NCERT is confined, we're going to talk about oxytocin, especially fully developed fetus and placenta, the head of the fetus as well. They put a cervical stretch, they put the pressure on the cervix, right, which in turn causes the uterine contractions along with this oxytocin that's released from posterior pituitary, which is stimulating prostaglandins, which causes these movements and finally leads to the parturition. Look at how that cervix is stretching so that the baby's head comes out usually. If at all they see the legs, they have to go for that cesarean operation where the baby cannot be naturally delivered. But by then, the baby's head moves that it faces the cervix. And as the head comes out, if you look at that beautiful phenomenon, it is what is called as the crowning. As soon as the baby's head is seen, they say it crowning. Even before that, when cervix is stretched, by then the amniotic fluid is something that's coming out. We say water broke in a colloquial language, general language that we use. When we say water broke, it's the amniotic fluid. So far it's protecting the baby in a nice and cozy watery bag inside. Now that ruptures and water comes out. That means the mother is ready for the delivery. The cervix has stretched to a whopping 10 centimeters, right? Look at that cervical stretch and the amount of pain that the mother undergoes. It's like huge number of bones breaking. According to your classmate notebook, at the end you have those little amazing facts, right? Some of them, yes, are true. So once after the baby is delivered, the contractions still go on. Remember, it's a positive feedback mechanism. More is the oxytocin, more is the contraction that is taking place. This placenta also that's removed. What are we referring to this as? After birth. This is what is called as the after birth, right? After the birth, oxytocin is still there in the high concentrations. It is what is responsible for the release of milk. Now, when the mother is feeding the baby with the milk, it's what is the lactation process where the milk is formed and it's oozing out. And initial milk, colostrum. Again, questions are asked from this. Colostrum is very, very, very important because it has got something immunoglobulins. Of course, a lot of books that you study, they're mentioning the IgA, but remember it has got a lot of other immunoglobulins as well. The question has to mention in high concentration, then IgA is your answer. IgG are small enough to cross the placenta and are going to the fetus. You will learn in body fluids and circulation how RH incompatibility is leading to erythroplastosis fetalis. IgG is the one there. Ankita says IgA, right? That's in high concentrations, which is protecting the baby. Now, so far it's a nice, cozy, controlled atmosphere the baby lived in. Suddenly it's pushed to the external environment. right, what happens? Then the baby is not with much of an immunity. So this IgA, what kind of an immunity is provided? Passive immunity, ready-made antibodies that are provided by the mother. This is why colostrum is quite important. Of course, it has got protein, it has got minerals, it has got fat, of course, in the low concentration, but all these interferons are also there, are present in the colostrum initial milk. So it's very, very, very important that the mother feeds the baby at least for 6 months. Nowadays, there are career women, you people are also going to go out there and work, but remember, at least for 6 months, it's important that you nourish your child with the mother's milk. Breastfeeding is quite important for the baby to be healthy throughout their life. Many research papers recently presented that they don't suffer from obesity also, those who are fed enough with the mother's milk. So, lot of linkages, beautiful, beautiful human physiology, right? So this is the mechanism. Again, suckling of the baby, right, or even baby's cry is something that's stimulating this milk ejection in the mother. So that is what is talking about, whether it is these sound of a child's cry or the mechanoreceptors, that suckling that's happening, that is what is going to stimulate, right? And then the different benefits that we have, just now I explained as far as milk is concerned. So there we go, end of this session where we have done human reproduction in just 2 hours. Stay tuned for next Tuesday's zoology class where I come up with the reproductive health, and then we have 18th Jan animal kingdom. Of course, I know most of you are not so keen on this, but I'll make sure that it is interesting, right? How do we make animal kingdom interesting? And then of course the digestion, another physiology chapter. This is the schedule for the month of January. Next 3 classes scheduled, 11th, 18th, 25th. Mark your calendar. Stay tuned for the next Tuesday, 12 o'clock. Not just, again, zoology classes, we also have a botany class coming up tomorrow at 12, the same time by Suchita Mukhopadhyay, ma'am. So throughout the week, you can see that again 5th, there is, Aman sir, then the 6th, you have Vibhati ma'am, then 7th, Kiran, okay, 10th, again, next Monday will be Suchita ma'am's class. Tomorrow it will be chemistry class by A.V. sir. Your favorite teachers, all are very, very good and passionate about teaching, wanting to share their knowledge and make more and more doctors. So stay tuned. This is the schedule, right? And if at all you are following the links given in the description box on any of the courses, you can get a straight 40% off using that code Mythili 40. Any courses that you want to register, exams, everywhere you get a discount. Use the coupon code Mythili 40 and come back again next Tuesday 12. Keep liking, sharing and subscribing. Infinity Learn. This is Mythili Aburi, your zoology faculty. Fun teaching you all. Love you all. Keep learning. Happy learning. Learning is infinite and fun.